Right, I've got more quarterfinals action here. It is Wyrm versus CrimsonTide. CrimsonTide, of course, playing under the extra MS account. So, yeah, Wyrm, Protoss, Crimson, Terran. Let's see what happens. I think this is going to be a close match. I think they're, from what I've seen, I think these two players are pretty evenly matched. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Wyrm is going to build the pylon here to block this path for Reapers coming in. And Crimson opening up with a pretty standard depot at the top of the ramp so that you can wall this off, stop any adept shedding in, stop any worker scots, whatever, coming into your base. Pretty standard stuff. Now, this is a pretty early refinery, so it does look like this is going to be Reaper first, but that gas has actually gone down a little bit earlier than it needs to, I feel. So a slight delay in the barracks coming down, but nothing that is going to make radical differences here. You know, we're talking about a couple of seconds, so no big deal. But what we should find is that Crimson has got plenty of gas to build a Reaper as soon as the factory finishes. Timing wise, you know, your most efficient build is that you just have 50 gas just as the barracks finishes up. And if you squeeze it that much, you don't really get a noticeable delay between the supply depot finishing and being able to drop down the barracks, because you've had 2 more runs of a couple of SCVs mining minerals. Yeah, finer points. Yeah, Wyrm with the scout is feeling confident to drop the Nexus before the Cyb core, which, yeah, I like it. You know, what you're really doing is you're coming in and you're saying, is there more than 1 Rax? And if there isn't more than 1 Rax, then what you're going to have to deal with, it's going to be a single Reaper. And a single Reaper can't really get very much done. It can be annoying for sure, but it's not going to kill you. It's not going to end the game. If you go over the map and you see 2 racks in production, well, then it could well be 3 Reapers that are turning up. And if you've got no units, 3 Reapers will chew through your workers really, really quickly indeed. So if you see that, you definitely drop the side core before the Nexus so that you can get a Stalker out ASAP, chrono out that Stalker and deal with the Reapers as they come. So the single Reaper coming across the map. Behind this, in production, you've got a reactor for CrimsonTide and you've got the factory coming down. So really, really standard opener. Nothing looking too strange. Reaper can't get in that way. Now, obviously, the Reaper can still get in, so you might ask, you know, why do you do that? It cuts down. Oh no, Crimson Reaper gets surrounded straight away and taken out, and that is careless. You have to suspect Crimson wasn't looking at that Reaper at that moment, because what you do if the Reaper does get surrounded like that is you instantly throw down a grenade, and the grenade will bop the Reaper and all the workers up into the air, and your Reaper can make good its escape. Then it will survive the grenade. And of course it will heal back up. So Wyrm's got to be feeling pretty good about that. He's got a Stalker right now as well. There's only a single gateway still, and as I say, that 2 more go down. So the Robo is finished up, and we'll see what he's going to build. Personally, I try and scout again at about this time. You know, another worker coming in to have a little poke about can be really handy, because then you can start to make decisions about, with this Robo, do I need to build Immortals, or do I need to get a Robo Bay down and get Colossus out, or Disruptors, or whatever I'm going to build. This is a strong Robo commitment, and he's just going for the Robo Bay with no scouting information really, and that's, I don't know, maybe he's got something specific in mind. But double Robo is expensive, and running double Robo off 2 bases is pretty hard to do. Colossus costs an absolute fortune, so maybe it's going to be a Disruptor build. We'll see what's going to happen. There is an Adept is going to try and shed in and get a look around, and the shed does come through here, checks the saturation in the natural, and lets the shed finish, which, yeah, fair enough. You know, I'd like the shed to try and get up into the men, try and get some more information about what the tech choices are, but there's no reaction here from Crimson, and really, you're not going to get this shed, so the worker pool wasn't what you needed. What you needed was the Cyclone pool, because the Cyclone will do damage pretty quickly to the Adept and make sure that it doesn't get much done. 4 Cyclones up so far, and Wyrm certainly saw that there was at least one, but may not be aware of just how many there are. That said, the Observer, I forgot about this Observer, it is smack in the middle of the men and it sees all. There is no tech lab on the factory, so these are going to be unupgraded. Oh, is this Banshee just going to fly right over the top of... It does. So, you know, if Wyrm's watching the mini-map, sees the red dot, sees that there's a Banshee coming, has got Robos at home, so can just crank out an Observer. Although that said is currently supply blocked with a Colossus queued up. So, Cloak just about to finish. This Banshee could actually be really, really annoying. I'm curious about the Colossus decision. You haven't seen any Marines. The only thing you've seen is Cyclones. And against mech, Colossus aren't that good. Colossus, remember, do splash, fantastic against large numbers of light units like Marines. Mech, you know, you've got units that take a much heartier punch, fewer of them, but each one takes more hit points. So you're actually better off with something like Immortals, things that do, you know, single heavy damage at a time, will actually plow through mech quicker than Colossus will. Now the range upgrade, I don't know, is the range upgrade done? Let's just have a look. It isn't. So these Colossus won't even have a range advantage, certainly not over the Cyclones. But let's see how they get on. Cyclones are pretty flimsy these days. And these ones don't have the speed upgrade. So they're going to really struggle. But certainly, you know, Cyclones, the way you work them, you don't stand and fight. You do this. You kite backward and forward. And that's why that speed upgrade is so important. Now, before Colossus range finishes, you should be able to kite that Colossus and pick it off running up here. But it would take a bit of target fire. It would take a bit of focus. The Observer, I think, has been F2'd. I'm not sure why it's come home. The Banshee's already cloaked. I don't know about that. And I definitely don't know about going to work on the Templar archives. You might get it. 2 Banshees? I mean, Wyrm just going to let this die instead of coming to kill these? I don't know. So normally the way you'd come in with the Banshees, don't cloak them until you have to. You know, they could have done all this damage and not used any of their cloak energy. It's such a slow pull from Wyrm. The Banshees just take out the Templar archives for free, so there isn't going to be any storm for a long time. And that actually hurts pretty bad. However, at present, the Protoss army is twice the size of the Terran army, and that's back to front. That is not how you want it to be. And look, here's why. No production, no production, no production. There is literally nothing building in the Terran base. There aren't even workers building. You know, neither the men nor the natural are saturated. This isn't saturated. There's 3 CCs that aren't building anything, and I don't really know why. Yeah, okay, there's a drop happening here. Let's see how that did. You know, but surely you've got your production facilities on a command group. It's the fly-in past here. Did this actually drop any? Oh, it was the Widowmine drop. I do apologize. Yeah, you've got like those facilities on a control group, you know, so you can be staring at this drop as much as you like and just spamming 5, holding down a button, spamming 6, holding down a button, and making sure that your minerals, because there are 2,300 of them at present, are being turned into stuff that is useful to you. It's a pretty good pull from Wyrm, so it doesn't look like these are going to get anything done. So Crimson does the sensible thing, which is to lift up and get out of there. But does Wyrm realise that the other... No, he doesn't. He's going to send the workers back. So actually, this could get quite a lot done. Oh, this could be so painful. There's... Oh! Oh, no! Oh, no! That's a joy to behold if you're CrimsonTide, so I don't blame you for watching the fun. I mean, that was pretty painful. That was very, very painful indeed. Why are these shooting a building? There's look at this raft of workers over here. They're you know, tasty pickings all the way over there, but they're shooting a building. So the Widowmine drop was fantastic, and now puts extra MS very far ahead in workers, despite not building any for a long time. What have we got coming down? Another factory, another factory. You know, I really want to see a tech lab swap out. Given how long the factory has spent idle, there is absolutely no reason why it shouldn't have been swapped onto a tech lab. And you could have been upgrading speed, for example. Now, Crimson is about to be in a world of trouble because that lack of production, yeah, it was great to kill the workers. It was great to get that done. The harass was fantastic, but there just isn't an army here. You know, we've got 16 army supply and there is a high-tech Protoss army coming in. There are Archons, there are Colossus that are unfortunately shooting the Evo. But, you know, the engineering bay rather. But yeah, there was just nothing there. And if we go back to the game, like, look how big the mineral bank is. Look how big it is. So, yeah, improvements need to be made, really, for Crimson. For far too long, that production tab was just empty. And if not empty, you know, just it didn't have nearly enough going on when you have all of the minerals available to play with. Even when you're going mech, you know, it does no harm to continue to pump out Marines because you can be annoying with them. You can drop them somewhere. You can just send them across the map and hope for the best that there's an undefended third or fourth that you can just stim into and snipe a lot of workers. Those Marines, you might as well have Marines rather than 1,000 minerals, mightn't you? Or build, you know, Hellions, which just don't cost gas. Or Vikings, which cost very little. Which would help you deal with the Colossus. Anyway, build something. It's not Monopoly.